Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I am joined, as always, by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett.
Oh, hello.
Which way are you? That one. Maddie, how you doing? It's good to see you this Thursday evening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good. Of course, the season ended this last weekend for the Packers, which, is always a bummer, no doubt. But I feel like, Don, I feel like the team showed us that they were exactly the team that we feared they were. And I hate to say that. It sounds very negative. It's uncommonly negative for me on this show. But, in the end, that kind of stings in a way because, we all had our hopes up. We all thought, they're going to make a run. It was also kind of like, well, that's on me for getting my hopes up because they showed us what they were for most of the season. And it's, a team that had things that need to be fixed that I think they, are going to have a plan to fix a lot of those things. I'm really curious to see how that's going to go down, in the off season. And, I think like John Meerdink has said before, like this is going to be, a really interesting off season. If your team can't be good, at least let it be interesting. Is I think the quote from him, if I remember correctly. And we're heading for a very interesting off season. So, in terms of like the game and the season being over, like I'm not like sad about it anymore. I'm not like bummed about it. Like last year, we got on, we were going to go live when we were like crying about it. Like, totally different this year. Like the game went over. I was like, well, crap. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bummer.
Oh, well, yeah.
But I've also been self-medicating with Ted Lasso all week. So that has helped, I think, probably as well. Anyhow, that was a lot of words. Dawn, how are you doing?
No problem. That's why we're here. We're here for your words. I'm okay. I kept my expectation and hope in order so that it wouldn't hurt. Yeah. I just, even if we, we should have beat the Lions for goodness sakes.
Yes.
I mean, come on. But other than that, we wouldn't have probably prevailed tomorrow or Saturday.
No, we were not going to beat the 49ers this year. No.
Correct. So I was like, well, will it be this week or in 6 days from now? Which is more embarrassing?
Yeah,
who would I rather lose to? I think honestly, even though we make fun of the Lions, I love the Lions and I love Dan Campbell, but I'm not going to feel sorry for that team anymore. So you don't have my sympathy anymore. But we love the Lions, but we did expect to beat them. But we don't necessarily expect to beat some of the teams that we would have been facing if we were in the playoffs this week.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So that's kind of how I looked at it. I guess I'm just like protecting my emotions by looking at it that way. And because, like you said, because of the season that the Packers had, it was kind of like, at least we had a short run there. At least we didn't have more losses. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous. And I'm all for an interesting season ahead, and I'm off season ahead. And the draft. I'm going to really enjoy the playoffs and not think about that until the playoffs are done and the Super Bowl is done. But in part of probably my not getting super excited was the whole week before that with Monday Night Football, Damar Hamlin, all that. So I was just sort of like, it wasn't that important anymore. And I think I pretty much checked out of the game when I saw some of those penalties happening, especially Quay Walker's and Devontae
pushing
White.
an athletic trainer.
That was just so weird.
So bad.
I mean, why? I was just, yeah. So at that point, I checked out, and I feel like that was a turning point of the game. I think the team checked out at that point. I don't know, but it seemed like it. But it was just because I did. I felt like I projected. So, yeah. So I'm happy that Damar Hamlin is home, not just home, local hospital, but home sweet home, and on his road to healing and all that. And it looks like he's expecting to make a full recovery. So that's really great.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so that was kind of where my emotions were. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to this weekend of football and all that. I just don't want, okay. So what I started to say is an interesting off season would be great. Drama. I'm not having any drama.
Yeah, best case scenario is that
stay out of that, but
no, best case scenario is that Aaron Rodgers announces on Pat McAfee on Tuesday what he's going to do, and we can just kind of like move on with our lives. Because the last couple off seasons, obviously there's been stuff, but it seems like it's taken less of the off season to come to the resolution. So if he could just do it this week, that'd be great.
He should. He probably won't, but he should.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my feeling is I kind of have been over him for 2 years. So
I know.
I don't think my thinking too is because of his, obvious competitive nature. And I said this last year too, so this is consistent, and probably the last 2 years I honestly felt for his benefit, he should go out on top, like with an MVP on it, even though they didn't go to the Super Bowl. They went to the playoffs. He had the MVP twice in a row. And so my feeling is, and if I were, in that position, I would probably want to come back and correct the record before I leave. So I feel like his chances of returning are, Dawn says no drama. Yeah. His chances of returning are much higher because of the way the season ended. If we were to have done better as a team and him as a player, quite honestly, I think he would have been happier to write off in this. I would personally feel that way. So
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, as much as we try to guess and scrutinize and project what Aaron Rodgers is going to decide or how he feels, the more we get it wrong, because he's a complicated fella. And I mean, obviously when the game was over, he didn't know what he was going to do, if he's going to come back next year or not. He needed time to like clear his head and, come to peace and make a decision. And I feel like that's such a big decision. I mean, that's a lot of money he'd be leaving on the table, but maybe he's just ready to be done. He's taken a lot of injuries this season.
I know he got really banged up this year. Hey, Emma.
Yeah. Emma's joining us here in the chat. Thanks for being here, Emma.
Yeah. So, yeah. What do you think, Emma? Is he coming back? Is he not? Do you care? I mean, do you care to speculate? Not that you don't care, but I mean, we care either way. I really want him to find some kind of happiness, because it seems like he's still searching for a lot. And
maybe his new girlfriend is the one that's gonna.
Oh, does he have a new girlfriend?
Oh, like the daughter of the Bucks co-owner or whatever. Hopefully.
Really?
Yeah, for real.
Not the Bucks co-owner.
Yeah, isn't what I said? Bucks co-owner.
Well, okay, so not blue anymore.
No, not blue anymore. No.
Oh, okay.
So Emma has a prediction here. I'm just saying, I think he either retires or comes back for one more. I think, nor comes back for one more. I think Emma
think
more.
She means, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's going to be going to any other team for sure.
That's what she thinks, either or. Okay,
yeah. One of those. And gun to my head, I would just guess that he's coming back. But yep, she confirms that she meant or. Yeah, gun to my head, I'd say he's going to be back in Green Bay next year. Maybe that would be his last year, but that's too far to even project that, much less what he's going to do this coming year. Is that you think too, Don? If you had to guess,
well, because of the way he went, I think he's going to want to go out on a higher note than what he did. But I kind of wish he wouldn't, quite honestly, because
it would uncomplicate some things if he didn't come back.
It would, and also there's no guarantee it's not going to be worse next year if he comes back.
Yeah. Well, so that's a good point, Don, because it's like, is he regressing as significantly as it seems like? The Andy Herman Pack-A-Day with Mike Wall that dropped today, I believe, was really some good analysis about that. Has he regressed, or is it other things that are causing like those apparent regression issues? Some really good points made there that was like, oh, okay, maybe he's not really declining as much as he seems like. So definitely a good listen, kind of a non-superlative recommendation there. The Pack-A-Day with Mike Wall and Andy Herman, really good one. Emma has another thing she's saying here in the chat, if you want to put that up, Don.
Yes, and I was listening to the same one, and there was a Mike Wall right before the game too, so it was kind of interesting to listen to both of them.
Nice. Emma says he has said he doesn't want to play in his 40s and his 39. Yeah, well, I mean, he said a lot of things. Who knows? No, that's a good point though, Emma, because like he has said that in the past. Maybe he's feeling that now. That's entirely possible.
Well, and that's
everything's possible with that weirdo.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know how. I feel like he really got banged up this year, and I mean, he's got to be thinking, wow, But the thing is, the chances for them to get to the playoffs and to the Super Bowl this year, I don't think next year are going to be higher.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Especially,
I don't know.
I don't see any reason why it should be, because if you listen to what Matt LaFleur was saying about coaching and not making changes and that kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, I guess my hope is that he actually does fire Joe Barry. I don't think he's gonna at this point, the way he's talking, but bring in Nathaniel Hackett, get some creativity going again in the red zone, bring back the gold zone. I feel like
Nathaniel.
with the growing of the connection and the chemistry between Rodgers and the young receivers, with hopefully the defense really figures it out whether Joe Barry's it or not, and gets disciplined. I feel like there's a lot of potential to finish a lot stronger than they did this year, but I don't know, man. I don't know. They're going to run it back because they love that, and it's going to be frustrating, and it's going to be some really good games like this year, some really good games, and some really frustrating games. At the end of the season, we were playing with house money, and we ran out.
Right.
We had some good games. I mean, you think about it. After the Vikings game was over, that the second one, of course, I was texting with my dad, like always, and I said, Dad, that was one of my favorite games I've ever seen. Just to go and curb stop the Vikings. I mean, to have a season that had that game, it's almost worth all the really frustrating games.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's worth the whole season. I mean, that's why we watch. So I'm not saying, oh, I'm so disappointed over the season. It's like, no, you're not going to ever hear me say that.
Yeah.
No, that was a fun game. I think we were still riding high on that last week. We still are. Yeah. It's good. It's good. So how everything's going on in your world?
Yeah. I was just going to say one last thing about this actually, before we move on. Sorry, Don. It's just that the idea that the season was a waste or a failure just because you didn't get the Super Bowl trophy, I feel like it's just such a dumb mentality. Just so dumb, because it keeps you from enjoying the fun parts, and you just get freaked out.
I agree.
When it became apparent in the season that this was just not their year, I suddenly found I was sleeping better, because I was like, oh, you know what? I don't need to be so anxious about are they gonna do well this week? Not just you know what, maybe a fun game, maybe it'll be a lot of fun, maybe we'll see some more cool stuff, whether it's eventually Christian Watson doing cool things, or Jair doing something awesome, or Aaron Jones busting one, or whatever. It's just hey, let's just see something fun. It's gonna be fun. And that when I kind of adjusted my mindset in the middle of the season, it was just better. It was just better, Don.
It's the way to live, Maddie. It's the way to be.
Just enjoy it.
I love it. So, all right. Well, you want to share anything that's going on in your world, or should we get right to our superlatives tonight?
There's not much. It's just the first week of classes at UC, and that means just a lot of last minute fixes for students, a lot of triage on things, which is weird. So when you're an anesthesiologist, that was what I was going to say. Don, I was going to say, when you're an anesthesiologist, we all are at some point in our lives. What? Do you know the job of an anesthesiologist is waiting and waiting, then extreme danger and high pressure situations, and then waiting and waiting. That's what the first week of classes for advisors is like. because you're like, you have like these drop-in advising hours, you're waiting for students to show up, and then like 5 of them show up at once, and that's like the most, the biggest crisis for each of them, and you help them out. It takes a couple, like an hour and a half, and then you're just waiting and waiting. It's a weird week. So yeah, it was anesthesiologist life for me this week. How about you? What's happening in your life?
I have a really busy January with just a whole lot of things that aren't even worth mentioning, but geez, it's like just a lot. But I feel good about everything. It's, coming together and handling it. It's just life. Out here, we had a little bit of rain last week. Of course, north of here in LA and even north of there had a lot of rain, and that's kind of dangerous. And I'm excited. Saturday, we're going to have supposedly more rain. I say supposedly because out of all that, we got like a couple sprinkles every day. And then one day it rained for about 15 minutes, kind of hard. But it was good rain for us because of the drought and all that. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
But and a lot of snow in the mountains, and I might go to the mountains. I'm not sure, but a lot of snow. In fact, Big Bear, which is the biggest mountain that people like to ski on here. I don't know if you heard this. It's pretty funny. They had too much snow, so they had to close the ski resort.
Really? No, I hadn't heard about that. That's crazy.
It's pretty funny. So it was a lot, in the mountains, but in up north, and by north I just mean a couple hours not that far north, but like Santa Barbara got hit really hard and all that. So that's not nice. That's really scary. There was some scary situations, but I enjoy the rain a lot because we don't get it very much. And so I'm looking forward to Saturday with the playoff games starting and having rain coming down. It's just the closest I'll ever get to winter out here. So I like it.
Dawn, it was raining this morning when I woke up, and I was already kind of tired. For various unrelated reasons, I've been sleeping terribly this last week. That's a whole different thing. And so like my alarm went off and I could hear the rain just gently outside. And I was like, I just want to turn over.
Oh, right.
I love the rain. I love the sound of it. I love the memories I have associated with it. I love how when it's overcast, colors like are more brilliant because they're not washed out by the sun.
Yep.
Love it. Love everything about it. Diffuse light instead of direct light. You know what I'm talking about.
The best photography.
The best photography.
Exactly. Love it. Cool. Well, we're on the same page. We don't get enough of it here. I've come to hate the snow. I get too much sun and I get migraines. I live in probably one of the most sunny spots in the world, and I'm like,
that's right.
I hate the line. I hate the sun. Anywho. Well, okay. So let's get to it. So how about we lob back and forth, unless you have some kind of a major theme where that wasn't going to work for you tonight?
No, the theme for me is just like looking back on the season.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about a couple of like personal like favorite things, and then a couple of like my favorite superlatives that we talked about, my favorite things from the season that we talked about. But I can easily lob back and forth? Volley. That's the word. I can easily volley on those.
Volley. Yeah.
You want to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, I have 4 different things to talk about, so maybe
I do too. That's crazy.
Oh, look at that. Normally 3, we both went 4. Here it is. All right. I thought I had 4. I take it back. I have 3 things. I'm wrong about that.
Okay, then I'll go first.
Then you should go first. Yeah.
Okay. So my first superlative is best subscribers. And this refers to another fun season of Hey, We Like Your Pod, which you are now listening to, and thank you for listening to. And so I shared a little video that we got from Buzzsprout, who hosts our podcast, and we completed a podcast every single week.
That's right.
Without missing, actually for 2 years now. So this season I'm talking about is the NFL season.
Yeah.
It's also the end of the year. So yeah. And our podcast grew by 248% this year.
What?
I had no idea. And thank you, Carlsbad. You're the most popular city. I had no idea of that either. I don't know who's listening. I know a couple people who are listening here in Carlsbad, but I'm certainly not as many. And then Cincinnati. So that makes sense. But also we have listeners in Germany.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the Netherlands.
How about that?
Isn't that great? 15 different countries, folks listening to our podcast. We love that. And our top episodes were, of course, episode 36 with our special guest, Andy Herman.
That was a good one.
Who did say he'd come back again. So that's cool. Episode 23 was MVP MOY pre Super Bowl 21-22. I have no idea what we even talked about except for Super Bowl. So
I was like, what was all that?
Most valuable player, which of course would have been Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And then MOY most
something of the year. Something of the year. MOY.
I forgot.
Mom of the year. I don't know.
Mom of the year. I'm sorry. It was last year. And then another one of our top 3 was special guest God, I can't say it. Kate from Tailgate.
Tailgate.
I wanted to say Gate.
Yes, of course that was highly listened to. Everyone loves Kate. She's amazing.
Everyone loves Kate. So anyway, thank you for all of our subscribers and those who are starting to watch us now on YouTube Live, which is a new thing that we have going here. So yeah, I'm so appreciative of our subscribers and our followers and the people that support us and all the guests and everyone who's here in the comments and all that kind of thing. So best subscribers on the planet.
Love that.
Yeah.
Special props to Emma for being here tonight in the comments. Thanks for being here, Emma. It's a thing that sometimes you hear podcasters say that they can't believe people like care about what they have to say. And I definitely, as somebody who is a lifelong proselytizer, will always get excited and try to tell people about the things that I like, you know. I I do that to try to spread interest in things, you know, to tell people about things that are cool. But in the end, most of the time in real life, people don't really listen to me. So the fact that people would, you know, listen to our show and hear what my silly opinions about things, it is, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I really appreciate you. If you're listening, I personally appreciate you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Maddie.
Should my first one?
Number 2. Yeah. What do you have?
I have my favorite moment from the entire season. Kind of an easy one for me to pick here since it was my first time going to Lambeau. But being there for the Cowboys game, seeing, you know, the Christian Watson 3-touchdown breakout game, just to be present for that, for the electricity in the crowd, to see that happen. It's an overtime win, if you remember, you know, from that. And plus I was there with Todd and with Celia and with Alex, and then some other really cool people. And I met up with you know, Jacob Wessendorf and Aaron Alice and Jason Perrone, and I'm probably forgetting someone. You know, like I met these amazing people in real life, and it was just the best. And I think if I hadn't gone to Lambeau, it's still a good chance that I would say that was the best, because it was such a fun game to watch anyhow.
Yeah.
And you know, my favorite Packer at this point is Christian Watson. So to see that breakout game, just everything about it. So that's my first kind of looking back on the season superlative was best moment from the season. My favorite moment from the season really was attending the Cowboys game.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, so that kind of ties into what I thought was going to be my bonus superlative, but I'm going to bring it up here to number 2. And this is most jealous, me. So, and I thought of this when I was listening to the Pack-A-Day Wednesday crew. So Steve mentioned that he went to the game kind of at the last minute. And I saw that on Twitter and I was like, yeah, go to the game. Cause he's like, should I go to the game? And he mentioned that he went into, they had like clubhouse seats. So it was like the glass area. So you don't have to be cold and there's food and all that cool stuff. So Steve and my sister-in-law, who took a private jet to Lambeau and also sat in seats like that. And, you know, she just did it in style. And she went up there from Florida, so she had to bring her winter clothes, but she has Packers clothes. But, you know, they both, and this might possibly have been Aaron Rodgers' last game. So, you know, they might always remember that. I don't know if that's why they went like that and got the private plane and all that stuff. But I wasn't jealous. I'm just kidding on that. But say goodbye in style to either the season or maybe even QB1, who knows. But yeah, I would have loved to have gone to see a game this year, just even to go back to Wisconsin in October like I normally do. But maybe, just maybe 2023, I'll be able to go to Wisconsin.
Yeah, you
I've
should
got
go to Wisconsin, Dawn, right? You should go to Wisconsin.
I think
I should go to a game when you're there, and we could go to a game together.
100%.
That would be the coolest. I'm going to see that you're way shorter than I imagine you being. And how tall are you, Dawn? How tall are you?
I'm about almost 5'5".
Yeah, I picture you like 5'10" or something, actually. So
I feel tall. Sure. I feel tall. I act tall. But
you act tall. Small. Yes.
I have a small frame too, so I think I'm a much bigger person than I am.
You live tall. You live moss.
I do. And I have some tall friends, and I'm like, I always thought I was just as tall as you. And they're always like, oh, you know how tall people are.
So, okay, wait, no. Important clarification. Your sister-in-law was on the jet with Steve Perhatch?
No. But I think they ended up in the, like in those clubhouse seats.
Okay. I was going to say, they're like friends or something? So that was going to be like...
No. But they both got like to go in style. I don't think he took a private jet. But still. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
And she's tall too. She's like 5'10". Tall people have everything. I mean, what's up with that? I always wanted to be taller. But for my family, I'm fairly tall.
There you go. That's what matters.
Yeah, we are a small people. Okay, what's your next superlative, Maddie?
We are a small people. So my next one is favorite new opportunity. I didn't know what to call this, but basically just wanted to kind of take a second and say thanks to Robin Adams, who I should say his wrong name because he said my wrong name on the episode this week. But thanks to Robin Adams and to Gilbert Brown. Just the thrill of a lifetime doing 4 episodes of the show with them, of the Graveyard Shift. And so it's just so cool to be like, Robin's like, hey, you want to get on and talk to Gilbert Brown? I'm like, what? Yes. What are you talking about? So, yeah, the one from this week, we got some of the technical issues figured out from previous weeks. We had been like having some echo in the 2 episodes before that. So unfortunately for the last one of the season, we got that figured out. Yay. I was really proud of that episode. I actually meant to tweet about it. I haven't done that yet. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, tweet about it so I can listen.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. Gilbert is hilarious and like so smart, and to hear like questions that podcasters talk about, the various podcasts, their analysis of what happened and stuff like that, but to hear Gilbert Brown's interpretation of things, his wisdom, his experience that he brings to like answering questions, it's just so informative and just like, oh wow, I hadn't thought about it that way. Dude knows what he's talking about. He's got a Super Bowl ring, like obviously an amazing player in the Packers history. So just to have that opportunity to hear some of his thoughts, to laugh at some of his jokes, just to interact with them, that was amazing. So huge thanks to those guys for that opportunity these last 4 weeks. Good times.
Are you gonna start? I was wondering, are you gonna start becoming part of the regular programming there?
So the thing with Gilbert Brown, is that it was like the special edition Tuesday night show of the Cheese Dads podcast that Robin usually does with McQuaid Arnold. But that special Tuesday night Graveyard Shift thing was just like an in-season thing. So gotcha. As of right now, my understanding is that Gilbert's gonna be back next season to do that again. But that was the last episode with him for months and months.
Okay, gotcha. Kind of like Beauty Touchdown with Jamie and I. So we're going to have our season finale. We both, everyone around me has had COVID. I've been under the weather. I don't think I have COVID, and Jamie's been under the weather for 2 weeks. So that's the only reason we haven't finished. But ours is just an in-season show as well. So kind of like that.
Where can people catch that last episode coming up, Don? Where can people find that?
Right here on YouTube on Dawn DeGuiso.
Right here on YouTube.
Right here on my YouTube page, right, folks, where we are.
Check that out. It's a good show.
I was saving those as podcasts, but I've tried to, and I did a pretty good job in 2022 to kind of just figure out what was the most important parts of what I was doing and just focus on those. And so we do have a podcast, but I haven't been sharing them too much because it's such a visual show, because we're doing makeup and skincare and talking about so it's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it does translate, but not as much as like the show. would go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a video show. That's how I think of it for sure.
Yeah.
It's a video show with two of like the best people
Aw.
in Packers Twitter, So I mean, if people haven't like checked it out, like, what are you doing? Check that out. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
Your turn. What do you got?
Best transition to playoffs. And this is a tweet. It was Aaron and Andrew Mertig. So Aaron Mertig is Andrew Mertig's friend of the show, brother. He posted a tweet, and Aaron said he's kind of, I don't know if he reposted or stole it from him. And I had been thinking about this tweet, and basically I'll just read the tweet real quick. It said, with the Packers out, who has your rooting interest in the playoffs? And he gave his top like 14, and I'm not going to say them all, but I'm going to give you mine. I'm going to give you my reply to that, and I'm going to ask what yours are. And so I'm just going to tell you mine, and because I had been thinking about this, and then he tweeted it, and I was like, perfect. I have somebody to talk to about this now. First of all, I said, yes, please, Chargers, of course, because San Diego, but kind of doubtful. But like with the Packers, I'm not going to allow myself to hope too much. Fear, yes. Hope, no. Is my motto going forward for a while. And then Bills or Bengals, I just can't decide. So that's 2 and 3. So Bengals or Bills, because I love them both. I probably love the Bengals more, but the Bills also have my heart this year.
Sure, I get that.
And then his last choice was nuclear disaster, and that was my 4th choice. 14th, and I'm like, oh, a nuclear disaster would be really fun. In other words, some kind of surprise. And then I did add in anyone but the Niners. Hello.
Yeah, absolutely. Hate them.
So what do you think? Who's got your rooting interest? Of course, the Bengals.
Of course, the Bengals. Of course. I mean, living here in Cincinnati, having so many family members, from my wife's side of the family, so many in-laws that are like lifelong Bengals fans. Joe Burrow seems awesome.
I love him.
There's a lot to like about the Bengals, and so they're definitely my top. They have what it takes to beat the Chiefs. They beat them the last 3 times they've played. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Chiefs aren't even on my list. I don't care about them.
I forget about them. So I think the Bengals, depending on the matchups go, of course, in the playoffs, they have definitely a good chance to make it in. Bills are a juggernaut right now, so I think it will probably come down to Bills versus Bengals ultimately.
Right.
So hoping for the Bengals. As far as the NFC, I almost don't care.
Yeah.
I'm kind of operating under the assumption that the 49ers will be the team, because I think they are the overall the best team right now.
Yes.
But I don't care as long as nobody from the NFC wins it.
Oh yeah.
Don, is there an NFC team that, apart from the Packers, obviously, that you would root for who didn't make it into the playoffs?
Well, I don't mind. I mean, obviously the Rams are out, but I don't mind the Rams, because I'm from this area. Yeah. Who else? I don't like the Seahawks.
Nope. I like him a lot more this year, though. Actually, I mean, I think the whole stuff with Geno Smith is kind of exciting.
Kind of fun until we get to my fraternizing with the enemy thing with him.
That's right. That's true.
That's coming up soon, actually.
But they are in the playoffs, though, so there's that.
They are. Who else is NFC? Is the Eagles are AFC, right? No.
No.
Well, the Eagles kind of. Well, but Jalen Hurts is out, so I don't really think they're going to do anything. I don't like the Bucks.
Don't like the Bucks. No.
I don't care about the Cowboys. I don't dislike the Cowboys as much as I used to, because I do like Dak Prescott, and I don't mind, Mike McCarthy.
Sure.
Doing well. Are the Giants AFC or NFC?
They're NFC.
I mean, that wouldn't hurt my feelings. A New York team.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. So no, but I don't have anyone that I'm like, Yeah, I definitely didn't mind that the Rams won last year if somebody had to win, right? Because
I mean, I wanted the Bengals to win last year, but
oh yeah. But I mean, because they were NFC, it's like they represented, right?
Yeah.
We're in the NFC.
Yeah. I guess what I
Everyone
was,
likes to say the NFC is substandard teams, and so
I mean, this year I think it's kind of true relatively, but that's not every year.
okay.
No, but the question I'd asked though, Don, was like people who, or teams that aren't in the playoffs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. I must not have said it clearly enough. Totally on me. So yeah, of the non-playoff NFC teams, I would just say, like, for me, kind of where I was going with it was that if the Lions were in, I'd actually be cheering for them, even if things had worked out such that they had bumped us off to get in. I'd still be cheering for them because what a likable bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
Know?
Yes. I did feel that way about them. Yes, I've been feeling that way about them. I don't know if we'll see how they do next year is in terms of, because I've heard some people say, and I that they're a little bit dirty. I don't like when teams are known for playing dirty. And there are certain people who say that, like the Rams do, and I'm trying to think of who else.
Even the Rams, you got Aaron Donald choking people.
Right.
Back when the Lions still had Ndamukong Suh, he's like one of the dirtiest players in all of his years. Did the Lions still have a reputation for that? I mean, I feel like the Packers are getting that with like the foolish things.
I did not. That's why I was so turned off the other night. I was just like,
yeah, that's not carrying the G.
No. We don't have to win that way.
That's right.
Yeah. Cool. Interesting exercise in what doesn't really, in frivolity.
Exercise in frivolity. Yes.
All right. And your final.
Say, whose turn is it? All right, here we go. My last one is going to be I think this is why I was thinking I had 4 things, because I have 4 like kind of like quick hits here.
Okay.
My 4 favorite superlatives from the season. Nice. Looking back on it, I went back over all of our show scripts from during the football season. So it's episodes 1 through 18 here for this season, for our season of How We Like Your Pod. Yeah. So I went over all of them, and it was really hard. It was like, picking your favorite kid. I don't have a favorite kid, Don. I have 2 wonderful children, of course. So, but yeah, trying to figure out which ones I like the best. So here's what I came up with. Here are my top 4 best things from the season as far as content creators go. Okay, first one. Best interview is going out to the fellows at Lombardi's Bar for their week 1 interview with Romeo Doubs. He was such a good interview because he gave great answers, but the thing about that made it a great interview was kind of 2 things. One, they were asking really, really good questions that really like drew a lot of information out of Romeo Doubs, like in a really impressive way. Like interviewing somebody, it's an art, it's not like just as simple as asking questions. It's getting the conversation to move, and they did a masterful job of it. Right. It was so entertaining. So like that one, but then also 2, that like we coming into that, I think collectively as a fan base didn't know a lot about Romeo Doubs. We're like, oh, he's a new player and he's a mid-round receiver and he's probably pretty good. So then to get to know him, as this like really humble, grateful, just really like down to earth guy, really got me primed to be in his corner and rooting for him after seeing some good preseason stuff and being like, oh, let's do this, Romeo Doubs, catch some balls, do some things. So that was exciting. So that's my first of the 4 here was best.
Okay, I remember that was memorable for sure.
Yeah, it was so good. Yeah. The second one, I love this one so much. It's a John Meerdink thing. Surprise! I'm talking about John Meerdink. Surprise! It was his football is knowable argument, or sorry, football is knowable. It was an argument, but article I meant that he wrote for Acme Pack & Co. That was kind of a reaction to something that Bill Huber said. So there's the weird history of it there, but basically saying, yeah, no, there's enough information out there. There's, coaches' playbooks, there's videos, there's like coaches' seminars, like people at this point with the wealth of information that we have access to, people can learn football. You don't have to be like in the NFL doing it, at that kind of level to be able to understand it and like diagnose scheme and, make really good analysis and conclusions about what you're seeing on the field, like the kind of stuff that Dusty does, for example, like breaking down a plan, like this is what the intention was, this is what went wrong, like that's possible. You can figure these things out because football is noble. Knowable. It sounds like I said noble.
Noble. I know. At first I was like, it is noble, but no, it's knowable.
Knowable. Yes. You can know it. It is knowable.
Yes.
Even
so I know a little bit. So
that was outstanding. That was a good one.
That was a good one.
And then my third one was actually kind of a package thing. Here comes another surprise. Talk about Dusty on Bests of the Season. This was the week of the Cowboys game, after the Cowboys game, the superlative was best catalyst for love. For love, Dawn. Best catalyst for love, because as Dusty did like 3 things that week. He did probably a video. I'm trying to remember now for sure. Yeah, it must have been a video. It was Christian Watson.
Yes.
Probably if I remember correctly, breaking down his 3 touchdowns from the Cowboys game. So that, of course,
yes,
gonna love that.
Yes, yeah.
He did the metric of Christian Watson drives versus non-Christian Watson drives of 1.9 points per drive versus 1.24 points per drive. So a big difference maker.
Yes.
And then also there was a moment that week where Dusty talked me into buying a Christian Watson jersey. So
jersey.
Three things that Dusty did in 1 week. That just when I said earlier, Christian Watson is my favorite Packers player right now. It was born from that week and those things, and that that experience of going to the game. So so props to Dusty. And my 4th one I want to call back here. Shout out for the season is most creative, going to Paul Noonan for his "If I Ran the Green Bay Packers," which was of course just a week or 2 ago. Figuring out like alternate lyrics to "If I Had $1 Million" by the Bare Naked Ladies. Figuring out harmonies, just the whole thing. So much went into that. And of course, with how much I talked about Paul Noonan stuff at the last part of the season, it should also come as no surprise that I'm mentioning him. Now, I do want to say here that there are so many people I left off, and it's also the case that every week, I was thinking about this, Dawn, every week. Sorry, what's that? I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just saying.
Every week I could talk about a really good take that Maggie Loney had on a podcast. I could talk about a great film breakdown that Dusty did. I could talk about, there's things that are like reliable. Like every week you could just like go and watch like an Andy Herman video, be like, there was one of the best things of the week. Cause all these things are so good all the time.
So much. That's right. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. And especially during the season. When it's like a fire hose of content. That's actually in a way something I'm kind of looking forward to in the off season. Is it's less to like feel the FOMO of not catching everything. It's like it's more manageable in the off season. So like this week's reporting is eligible. They're like, this will be the last episode for a while, probably. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, well, can make sure I get other stuff in the week. So at least there's that. But that show's so good though, Dawn. My goodness. Yeah. So just real fast. My superlative was best of the bests. It was best interview for Lombardi's Bar with Romeo Doubs. It was best argument for John Meerdink with his Football is Knowable article. I almost said argument again. Best catalyst for love, Dusty Evely, the stuff he did the week after the Cowboys game. And most creative to Paul Noonan for his If I Ran the Green Bay Packers. That was my best of the bests.
Best of the best. Congratulations to those who made the best of the best. And there is just so much. There is just so much in so many directions we can go with this. And it's not hard to do what we do because there's just so much that we take in and it can be overwhelming. But off-season content is not a problem. I mean, I know a lot of content creators say that. Oh, well, it's going to be hard to get, but there's never a lack of content. There's so much going on. The football world doesn't stop at the end. I mean, maybe the staff will get 2 weeks off, right? And the coach will maybe go on a vacation for a couple of weeks, but the work starts grinding, whether it's the draft or, they were drafting free agents today or yesterday. There's a lot of work that goes in to get ready for next year. And it's exciting. I've really enjoyed learning that part of the organizational part and the business side of the NFL. That's interesting to me, in the law side and all that too, which I never thought about when we started this podcast.
Yeah.
I just thought about, let's just share some of this content because for me personally, it's overwhelming. Like, who do I listen to? But it helps sort through, hopefully we're helping you sort through and, pointing you into some directions that you might enjoy.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, speaking of that.
One more, right? Don't you have one more superlative?
Yeah. Well, it kind of ties into yours, your top 4. Let's make it 5. Okay.
All right.
Because as a more broad favorite, we do love our Pack-A-Day content, and Matt and I definitely are fans of the Wednesday crew. We're fans of all the crews every day of the week,
but especially
our Wednesday crew. And I had to listen to them. It took me a little while to want to take. I'm like that. If we have a loss, especially an important loss, it takes me a couple days before I really want to listen to anybody talk about our team. But the Wednesday Pack-A-Day podcast was awfully great this year. I mean, honestly, this Wednesday, I had to listen to it twice because there was a lot of gems in there. There was a lot of information in there.
I agree.
Beyond, and they didn't even have McAfee to talk about. So I'm going to play you a little clip from my very favorite part of my very favorite podcast. And this is with Daire Carragher from, let's see how I can play this. I think I just have to add it in. From Pack-A-Day, and she's a friend of Hey We Like Your Pod. So let's see if
she was our first guest, actually.
She was our first guest. I forgot about that too. My gosh. Okay, so let's play this little audio clip, and it's a video clip if you're watching.
And took some quick notes in the notes app. And at first point I already said, but I'll just run through them. We were right about this team. Should have never gotten our hopes up. Rodger's absolutely played a part in the team's demise. If he is injured, why do they keep him in so much? Do they really not trust Love? Joe Barry, ... I don't even know. Fumbles, ... horrible. Gold zone is gone. So gone. I miss Jamal Williams. Dan Campbell is an absolute madman, and I kind of love it. Christian Watson is for real. When A.J. Dillon dropped the wide open pass, I sighed so loud. My friend watching it with me said, "Oh, Con, like you could have caught that." And I actually wholeheartedly believe that I would have. Emotional damage. Glad it's over. Still go Pack Go, though.
So that was, and I should have given a little intro. So that was our Sarah, and she was mentioning to Steve and Dusty on their podcast that she just started taking some notes, and she used to write the game recaps, right? And so she's probably used to taking some notes, but she took some notes, and she had her 12 notes there, and she just that was delightful. That was absolutely divine. And it really probably summarized what many of us were feeling, and it was just great. And that was my favorite part of our favorite podcast for the so that's our top 5, right?
Don, I love that you brought that up because like I was deliberately trying to think back on the season for like the stuff I was going to talk about this week. So I wasn't like listening for things to talk about from this week's content,
right.
in a way that I usually do.
Right.
But when I heard that part on the Wednesday Pack-A-Day, I was like, I would talk about this part if I was picking 3 from the week. That because it was just such a great distillation of the game and kind of broader things. And I mean, Sarah's brilliant. Like I just love the work she does, and miss her recaps. I will say, with all respect for like her backing away. Like
right.
No shade, no criticism. Totally get that. Totally respect that. But I miss them.
Yeah, of course we do. Well, I wasn't expecting that you did that part of the show, but it just had to. That is so, and I did put that on like 1.25 speed. It went a little faster. I forgot I did that.
I knew it was a little faster than usual.
Short clip there, but it's so full of gems. That whole podcast for Wednesday, it's still valid, and so the grind goes on. The football grind, the content creation, and our work play together. As regards to that, so we're not going anywhere for the season or for the off season, and we're looking. I mean, after the playoffs, I'm just going to kind of just relax and enjoy. But then I'm looking forward to draft day and prepping mock draft and all that speculation that we get to do.
It's fun stuff.
It is fun.
We probably have some really great guests booked coming up. I can't remember if we do have anybody. Surely we do. Right?
I think we do. Yeah, we usually booked out a couple months ahead. So.
Yeah, right. But even I'm sure we'll have some great guests over the course of the off season. Yeah, like you said, Don, we're going to keep going. This train doesn't stop.
Oh man, and we're growing, and we're growing. We keep growing, and it amazes us, and we appreciate you so much. So, any final thoughts before we go, Maddie?
Just the next time the Packers are really good. Which is hopefully this coming season, months from now. The next time the Packers are good, and every time they have a good game, this is the way how this season ended is a really, really, really good reminder that really for real, actually enjoy it while it's happening, because it's not a given. I mean, obviously here we are, like not even in the playoffs. Like it makes me think about how much fun the last couple seasons were. It's like, yeah, I talked on this podcast about making sure people were enjoying it and like living in it, but I feel it more keenly now. Sadder but wise.
Yeah. Isn't it different to not be in the playoffs? I mean,
It's
this
weird.
is how most teams live there,
Yeah.
It just, but I like what you're saying though. I'm not upset about it, and I'm sleeping fine about it. I think it's actually more hurtful to know that we're good enough to win a playoff game and then blow it. That hurts more. So I think the previous couple of years were actually more painful than this year. In some ways.
Yeah.
I really expected this was a good possibility of how this year would go. I wasn't expecting this was going to be like, we're guaranteed to be better than the previous years because of what had to happen organizationally. So I was mentally prepared for anything. And it helps to be that's why I'm glad I know more. I'm not just like, what's going on? Like I know why we're in the situation we are. Yeah. So
and it helps you manage expectations. Like we've talked the last couple of weeks about a job I'm waiting to hear back on.
Yes.
Found out today that the person who's making the decision is about to go on vacation. So the earliest I'm going to hear about that will be next week, Friday. It's like, and I'm okay with that because I know not to expect every day. Like, why am I not hearing about it?
Right.
Having a sense of like managing expectations, I think is a really, it's a really big deal. So we both, I think, came into the season thinking it'll be exciting, knowing it won't be as dominant as we had been the last 3 years before that. We were less dominant, I think, than I imagined we would be. But
I know it kind of went really bad. But
yeah, no, I mean, you're right. Like knowing what to expect helps to mitigate the disappointment when it doesn't go super well.
Right. And I know a lot of people are super angry and emotional about it. It's like, if you paid attention, you probably wouldn't be quite so angry.
The signs were all there.
It was right in front. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm not gonna like fault people for being emotional. Obviously,
No.
we all gotta grieve the way we're gonna grieve. So I mean, I don't mean to be like flippant about that, but but the signs were all there. Yeah,
exactly. You're all good, no matter. I mean, we're all where we are in this path of life.
Ooh, that got deep there, Don. All right, should I bring it home? You have anything else you want to say?
Bring it home, Maddie.
All right, here we go. So, friends, of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned. So please check it out. Also, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family. I think people maybe were doing that this year, Don. Maybe that's why we grew as much as we did.
I think so. Yes, Maddie. And that's right. I do think they were doing that. And
sorry, I threw you off there on the script. Sorry.
because they know that we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and to have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL, win or lose. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.